Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Monday Morning Coffee Talk. I'm your host, Samantha, and today I am joined by the wonderful, amazing Rozana Sweeney.
Hello.
So, for those of you that maybe aren't familiar, Rozana is, and I hope I am saying this correctly, a former German world champion, and then also a U.S. professional in the Latin category with her husband, Terry. She's now the owner, or co-owner, I guess I should say, of Art and Style Dance Studio in Pittsburgh, PA, and she is also an NDCA adjudicator and judge of many a competition.
Correct. That's correct. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. How are you doing? How is life these days?
Well, very slow compared to what we did a couple months ago. It's been a drastic change, for all of us, not just here in the US, but everywhere in the world. Like, honestly, like people say, there's a light switch, you push it down and it's over, it's done. And I think the first 2 weeks we closed our studio March 12th. That was the last time we were in the studio due to the coronavirus and the close down and stay at home. And with that, obviously, all the travel stopped immediately. Mm-hmm. We were actually debating that following weekend if we should still go to New Jersey and coach. We were invited to coach in the studio. And we decided not to do it because nobody knew, what's going to happen, how this virus develops. And we still don't really know in deep end. But anyway, so it's been more like a shock the first two weeks till things started to like, oh my God, it's everywhere. What do we do? And then you're scared to go to the grocery store because you have no idea. And that's the highlight of your week, so. But today is the first time we don't have that. We went, they do it here in colors. So we went from the red, which is, I think it's now the first phase, yellow. And so we don't have to stay at home, but no gatherings allowed. We would be able to do one-on-one in our studio if everybody continues being, conscious and aware and what we have to do. We have mixed responses from our students. Some say, no, we'll wait till this is over. Some say, yeah, let's go, but I'm not going to wear a mask. So I'm not agreeing with that. And then the social distancing, it's a little hard on some of our older students who, when they want to dance with you, or they want to at least be guided by a partner.
Yep.
So we have some things to think about how we're going to deal with that and how we're going to open. I actually had today, my cleaning lady just texted me and said she did a deep cleaning in the studio. Yay. So, but it doesn't mean that, we're going to be operating exactly like we used to, which is kind of sad, to be honest. It really killed the dance industry.
Yeah.
Literally.
No, really, I 100% agree with that. I think the dance industry and a lot of those one-on-one learning experience industries are really suffering as a result of this. But, we'll bounce back and we'll innovate. And when we come back, we'll be stronger than ever, I hope. We're in a similar situation here in Utah. Parts of the state are now in yellow. Some of areas of the state are still in orange. I was able to get in the last 2 weeks to do some one-on-one private instruction, and the feedback from the students is exactly the same. I think the feedback everywhere from students is going to be the same. You'll have some that, are excited to get back and they just want to be back in the studio, and whatever that means, they're happy for it. And other students are like, I'm not wearing a mask while I'm dancing, or the whole reason that I'm taking these lessons is so that I can have some physical interaction and some physical connection with another person. So I'm going to wait and come back when all of the boxes are checked. So Yeah, I hope that you guys can get back to normalcy um, in whatever capacity that is soon. Um, so
Well,
obviously this has impacted the timeline for competitions. I mentioned in the intro that both you and your husband are judges and adjudicators. Obviously the summer is sort of when competitions normally pick up, and there's a different competition in a different
right.
state every other week. What are you seeing from organizers, being an organizer yourself? What are you seeing the reaction be, and how are folks handling this?
Well, I can only speak for ourselves, and we have the one day event, which is normally on the first weekend in June. And we had to cancel it because the hotel was not able to provide us with the um, same amount of people that we can,
Mm-hmm.
let into the ballroom. Their restaurant is closed, and they don't know when it's going to open because I think a lot of their workers are either on furlough or they let them go. It's an airport hotel, so
Yeah.
they were dead basically,
Yeah.
for the lack of a term here. But so we couldn't really give them the same experience. And then we were talking about it. Well, even if we don't do, the food and the bar and the coffee place and all that, how many people can we have in the ballroom?
Yeah.
So right now, I think it's still 10 people in Pennsylvania. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, maybe 25 now, but still social distancing. You're going to dance with the teacher 6 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have people come in and watch it. So we just decided, you know what, it's not worth it for all the effort we have to put into to make it a little bit more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. So we decided to skip this year and do it in 2021 and hopefully be stronger and bigger. Is all other competitions we had in March, every weekend a competition to go to. So all of them were canceled immediately, which, you can imagine the panic started.
Right.
April was holding on for a little while. And then all those competitions, I think we had three to go to judge, they were let go, including the coaching
Mm-hmm.
as well, and different cities. And now May started the same. To I think I just saw Millennium just canceled. There's another comp which is further down in June. The Florida State, which I was very disappointed because I thought we might be a little bit free in Florida, but they also decided to cancel. But on the upside, North Coast, which is also end of June,
Mm-hmm.
they are confirmed today that they're going to hold it and they're going to try to do their best. I don't quite mm, can't picture it, to be very honest with you, how that's going to go. Are we all going to stand around the floor with masks? Are
Right.
we not going to talk to each other unless we're like 6 feet apart? Maybe by end of June, things might change a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully. But the fear is going to still be there.
Yeah,
That's the worst thing, I think.
that's my main concern is, as a instructor, I obviously had students that were planning on doing competitions farther in the year. And I'm sitting here going, okay, so what's my criteria as an instructor going to be before I enter my students? Am I going to ask how many people are allowed in the ballroom? Do I take the flight to get to the competition in mind? Do I think about, okay, what is the potential scholarship that my student could win versus what's the potential risk of our health? There's this balancing act that I think both professionals and amateurs are going to be kind of weighing going into the competitions for the next couple of months. Hopefully by the end of the year, hopefully by the time we get to Ohio or Holiday Classic at the end of the year, that might change. But also with the larger comps like Holiday and Ohio, you almost would imagine that there's going to be more pressure on them than like a small local one-day comp.
Yeah, Emerald Ball also canceled. They moved their date from May, I think, to actually our weekend when our competition was. And he also said that the hotel will not allow, the certain amount of people. That's the biggest issue with our art and our sport. What we do, we are, we're giving each other hugs. We see each other. We like constantly face to face, basically. So
Hmm.
that's a very difficult thing. And a lot of people are in this business because they're like this social interaction, because they want to be around people, especially some of our older, so to speak, students.
Yep,
And, I think 80% of our business is the older clientele. So
definitely.
they're probably afraid of if they have any, I don't know, kidneys or asthma or whatever, that they might get fast infected in a very, very healthy person,
Hmm.
But it's still so unknown
Hmm.
that it's frustrating because I don't see yet the light on the end of the tunnel,
Hmm.
because it could, um, you take a student to a competition and all the precautions are there,
Yep.
but are they going to enjoy it?
Right.
Are they going to be, are they going to be ready for it, because they haven't had any lessons for over 2 months? And face it, Zoom lessons are not the same than when you actually dance with your student. Same for the pros.
Hmm.
Some of the pros I have talked to, some of them considering to just stop and not continue because it's just frustrating money wise. They're not
Hmm.
making any money.
Hmm.
They don't know when they're going to be able to get back to competing. That's why we all do it.
Yep.
So it's such an unknown. I talked to, when did we talk to Sam? Talked to Sam a few weeks ago,
That's Sam
and
Sedano.
he said that Sam Sedano. I'm sorry, yeah. And he said that he was our chairman, so I had to communicate with him that we're not going to hold the comp and stuff like that. But he said the same thing. It's going to take a while till things are coming back the way we used to. I hate that the saying the new normal. I can't stand it for some reason. Like we used to
Yep.
operate our business.
Yep.
You might have people stopping completely because if you don't have competitions, big ones, they might not have the interest. This is why I did it. I saw Ohio Star Ball. I
Hmm.
so inspired by it. I want to do that. Now you run a competition without audience. It's another thing. You can't bring your family in. We were our last comp we judged was the Arnold Dancesport Classic in Columbus,
Hmm.
which was the first weekend in March.
Okay.
And Ohio already started to close down. And there was the if, yes, can we have it? Can we not have it? And then finally, the hotel and the government or whoever they were talking to, it was Bill Sparks and Sam Sedano. They said yes, you can, but no family can come in to watch.
And
So
you're
this is
talking about a
a college
thousand.
competition.
I was going to say, you're talking about 1,000 youth, amateur, and college
Oh
students.
yeah,
That's the entire point of having a
correct.
competition that size, is to
Yeah.
bring your
And
family
then
and
all
friends.
the juniors who, they have to bring their parents.
Hmm.
So they loosened up on it a little bit and let the immediate family come in. But the whole event had no spectators. It was like a ghost town. We were used to like constantly running out. You had to wait for things,
Yeah.
waiting at Starbucks for sure. No waiting at check-in at the hotel. So, but it still hasn't quite then sunken in,
Yeah.
because we didn't know all the details. And then we started thinking afterwards, oh my gosh, we were there. Could have been that one of us or been affected. But thank goodness all the judges are fine who were there. And as far as I know, the dancers from CMU, my students and my kids, junior kids.
Yeah.
So that
So
was okay. That was the last one.
that's insane. Yeah. I did not attend Arnold as a college student, but I did go to Ohio Star Ball. And actually, just stepping away from the doom and gloom for a moment. So that is actually how I originally met Rozana, was being on a rival collegiate competition team.
Say that again?
I said how I originally met you when I was on a, and I'll use the term rival very loosely, collegiate competition team.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I was a member of the Fairmont State University Ballroom team. It's a very small little college. I don't think the ballroom program even exists anymore in West Virginia. And Rozana and Terry are coaches for Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. So because we were so close geographically, we tended to go to the same competitions. So I first knew of you through that.
Yeah, that was a really small team. It was only like 4 or 5, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Very small team. I forgot the gentleman's name who actually first contacted me. It was a guy. I can't remember his name anymore, but
Probably James Suter.
Say that again?
James Suter was the coach when I was on the team.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was interesting too, because obviously you were coaching CMU, and then the owner of Art and Style dance studio, and then Andrew and Amanda from Absolute Ballroom in Pittsburgh were our like associate coaches for Fairmont State. So it was a very small community that kind of ran in the same circles. So yes, but yeah, so Arnold Classic and Ohio Star Ball, at least in my opinion, are the two largest collegiate competitions that happen over the course of the year. You have BYU Nationals, which obviously got paused midway through the competition this year for the amateur titles, which was an interesting experience. I wanted to get your opinion on, there was a competition, and everyone at home will have to forgive me for not remembering the correct name of the competition, but there was a competition about a month ago in Russia that went ahead as scheduled, but they didn't allow any spectators in the room. It was a pro-am competition. They only allowed, I believe it was 8 couples to be on the floor and in each like section or heat. And the judges were all virtual. So they were essentially watching a live feed through either Zoom or Skype or Google Hangout or one of the programs.
I just lost you.
Oh
no! It was very broken up. Now you're back.
Okay.
But, I didn't. I heard you after the spectators not at the Russian competition, and then that was it.
Gotcha. So there was a competition. Ooh. Do you have a pair of headphones by any chance?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. The joys of technology.
The big ones are. Terry uses them all the time. You there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Okay. So there was a competition in Russia that went ahead as scheduled, but they only allowed like 8 couples to compete in each division. And the judges were all virtual, so they were watching a live stream of the competition. As a judge, would that be something that you would be interested in doing?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I didn't hear that, the virtual judging. I have not heard about that. And between the two of us, is probably was the money. They probably didn't want to give refunds to the students who are already entered. So I don't know. I would have to think about it. I mean, the fun part is to go to a comp and meet everybody and be with your friends or colleagues and see it live. Live dancing is so much better than video. I hate YouTube. when people, oh, I saw like my CMU kids, oh, I saw this on YouTube. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. But it's just such a different atmosphere. I mean, we're going to lose a lot of um, the feeling of being and watching it live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the energy an audience can give to a couple to elevate them in their dancing. I, I you can't put a price on that one. You know.
Yep.
So I doubt that virtual judging will be in our future. Very, very. I think people rather do like smaller events then
Mm-hmm.
instead of huge, that where they can control the people instead of doing that, because that is actually very sad, I have to say. You
I,
know, we all like to dress up as judges, even when we die in those heels, but still.
I would agree with
Yeah.
that. I think from a competition standpoint, part of it is that camaraderie and sense of community. And you're right, having a live audience in front of you can really boost and elevate your performance because it gives you such an adrenaline kick that it's like, okay, now I want to perform a little bit extra or want to dance a little bit
Exactly.
harder. And if you remove the audience from that, then you're going to lose a lot of that energy and that extra little pep. Yeah.
I mean, if you just consider when you at home by yourself practicing with your partner, you're alone in the studio. Maybe you're not as lucky, like living in Brooklyn, where there are like 100,000 couples around you competing. I mean, I'm sorry, practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're doing the same thing. You're dancing for yourself on the dance floor, and there's nobody. Even when the judges are virtually sitting in, maybe at home, I don't know where they would be,
Yeah.
or in the hotel room, I have no idea. um it's no, I would be very surprised. Was that competition successful, do you know?
As far as I can tell, yes. I know on the judging panel was Tony Redpath and Slavic, and I have not reached out to them yet to get their opinion on how it went. It was a pro-am competition, and I am failing in remembering the name at the moment.
But I'm sure it would have been posted like crazy. Maybe it was just came up because I know they tried here to do something like that. Would you be interested in the couples would have danced at home, and then you would have had to compare them, and there was nobody interested in that. So
Yeah, I saw that blurb go past and I'm like, well, that's great if you're married to your competition partner, but for kids, like the youth, are you going to film the girl and then
exactly.
film the boy and then try to edit the two together so it looks like they're
Yeah,
dancing? Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting
That was
solutions.
actually one of the issues I had with my juniors for Zoom classes. So like, well, I'm dancing by myself. My partner is. We can't be together. So why are we trying? You know. And then it
Yeah.
kind of like died out. And yeah, we stepped away from it to Zoom. I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So shifting away from current issues plaguing competitions, I did want to get your opinion on a couple of the NDCA changes that happened in 2019. Um,
Hmm.
so, starting with the syllabus changes, in closed bronze, silver, and gold, we saw a tightening up of some of the rules and regulations, specifically
Hmm.
with the American syllabus. I think international has kind of found their balance point, and they have the set rules in
Correct.
place. But with the American Smooth and American Rhythm syllabus, we saw a tightening down of what is considered closed syllabus and what is more in the open divisions. What do you see being the main motivating factor for making those changes, and how do you think it's going to impact competitions? Because I, as an instructor, I have my assumptions about what was the motivating factor for really restricting what is in closed syllabus, but I wanted to get your opinion as a judge.
Well, it was mainly meant for bronze and silver in American style smooth. It started to get so out of control with mixing, especially young teachers, you know, who will not sit around and try to learn the syllabus. They just look and then put it together, you know?
Hmm.
And sometimes the coaching is not there for them, or they don't have coaches who can help them for whatever reason. So they wanted to trim that up a little bit so that they're staying in close position, and that actually the students has a chance to learn the bronze syllabus
Hmm.
and not right away be pumped out into open bronze, which they like to call so famously, and go into open routines, because the knowledge of the teacher is not there to teach the syllabus or the basics, the technique. So might as well, let's just jump into the open, which they're trying to avoid. And I think we were very successful with doing that. I mean, competitors are much more aware of what they can and what they cannot do. Sometimes we have even two uh, invigilators who are there to, because if the comp is bigger, like Ohio has two or three or four, we have sometimes at the same time because of the split floors, or it's just too many people on the floor to keep for one invigilator up. But I think it's good. I think it forces teachers to go back home and study so that they're better for their students instead of just dumping them into open. And most of the time those people don't survive because
Hmm.
let's assume everybody in the open has studied and has danced for many many years as a teacher and knows their syllabus and knows their technique. So now you come as a new teacher in there and like throw your student around, so nobody benefit from that. But I think this was good. I like the change. It was at first a little weird to adjust to it, that you had to count how many bars they can stay together, and now that was a little a challenge for the couple months. But you know, it ended up okay. And as far as in Ohio, I wasn't invigilating, but I know I talked to some of them when I was judging, and they were all saying, yeah, they're listening. People are listening and following the rules, which is great. Dancing can only benefit from that. It's not to tell you what to do and what not to do. It's to do it better.
Absolutely, I would agree
You
with
know.
that. I think requiring a good foundation in closed hold and a good solid understanding of that connection before you can break hold is only going to improve everyone's dancing. I think
For sure.
having that structure in place too also gives us as instructors, just like you were saying, a guideline, right? This is the box that I'm allowed to play in, and then it's up to me as an instructor to figure out creative ways so that my choreography
Correct.
with my students stands out from everyone else's. If we're only allowed to use the same 7 or 8 or 9 patterns, then it's really going to come down to your understanding of floor craft, your understanding of your students' strengths, and then understanding how to create a performance quality that really catches that judge's attention. So, no, I am a huge fan of the rules changes, actually. We do have a
And
question.
you also avoid,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, but you also avoid, which sometimes happened to I'm talking about Latin now, real quick, away from the American, that they went on the floor and they saw other people in their same division and they were doing, let's say, gold steps. And they come to me, it's like, why can't we do that? And I try to explain them, no, this is your division, this is what you entered in, and this is what we're going to do. Why can't they do it? So definitely that helped um, across the board. I mean, there's always, you know, one or two scragglers, but they wake up pretty quickly when they get, you know, pulled off the floor and say, hey, you cannot, and they change it. So it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The envy of, well, that pattern looks really cool. Why am I not allowed to do it? It's like,
Yeah.
well, they technically aren't supposed to be doing it either. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We have a clarification from the chat. It says, "Don't leave me hanging." What's it referred to as? Oh, I'm assuming that's referring to the comment about open bronze. So, in
What's the question? Can you repeat it?
it says, "Don't leave me hanging." What's it referred to as? I believe that was you made the comment about it being referred to as open bronze. So
Yeah.
In competition, I'm going to speak mainly about pro-am, but this also applies to lower divisions and amateur as well.
Right.
You have syllabus and then open events. So syllabus means that you have a rule book, you have a certain amount of certain types of steps with certain technique, with certain counts that have to be executed in a certain way. Open is more like what you see on Dancing with the Stars. So there are patterns from the syllabus that you're using, but you're also creating choreography to move between those patterns. So it's a little bit more free form, it's a little bit more artistic. Still,
Yeah.
all of the couples are on the floor, but there's less restrictions, I would say, in open about what you can and can't do.
Well, originally the open divisions were designed to do, like, if you do bronze, let's say American or rhythm, which, whatever style you want to do, is to stay in bronze and silver if you dance bronze. And when you dance silver, silver and gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the original idea. But then uh, I don't know how it happened over the years. All of a sudden, you see full choreography in a bronze division or in a silver division, or later on down even more elaborate in gold, because especially in American smooth, it got a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
But I think we deal with this right now. We all, speaking for judges, yeah, okay, this is what they show me. I have to mark that. But I'm telling you, my personal opinion, if I see um, a couple, pro am or amateur, on the floor dancing open silver, and they're using a few steps out of gold, but showing me the quality of their dancing through their syllabus in their technique, that's my winner. Then comparing it to somebody who's doing a full out routine, like open, and struggles through it, tries to either push or pull their student through it because they're off balance, off time. It's not easy to teach a beginner brown students a open routine. It's very difficult. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be very, very smart what you can put in. And sometimes, unfortunately, you see on the floor not so good choices of what they decide to do and give their students. So um, I would like to see bronze combined with silver, silver combined with gold as the open divisions. That what should be. Maybe like a
Yeah.
little opening in the beginning, a little ending, but not as elaborate as right now.
I think that's incredible feedback, because as an instructor, I struggle a lot of times between my coaching, which was exactly how you said it. The open division is a transitional division. You aren't supposed to stay in that division. It's supposed to be a way for you to explore silver patterns while you're still in bronze, or explore gold while you're still in silver. So from a choreography standpoint, that's how I'm putting together students' routines when they're in that open division. But then I get to a competition and I'm like, well, what in the world was that 14 count grapevine into an open double hand spin where you're not connected with your partner? How in the world are they getting away with doing that? So it's reassuring to hear that from a judge's perspective, there are still judges on the panel that want to see that foundational within the confines of the syllabus, even in the open division. I appreciate hearing that.
I truly believe that at least, I'm going to say 80% of uh, my friends and judges will all believe in quality. You will still have that. And it will be a sad day when it comes to judging, when you just want to see the flat. But I doubt that will happen, to be very honest with you, because um, we all have worked very, very hard on our own dancing, struggled, and, blood, sweat, and tears, all that, uh, to and fought for our quality of dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to see it at least 80% on that floor instead of being bedazzled by all the different dance genres. And I'm not cutting that down. I think it's great
Mm-hmm.
to have openings for different genres to come in to get inspired by it. But I don't like to lose the essence of a Latino, of rhythm, especially that is going back and forth. Smooth, can be sometimes a little much Cirque du Soleil versus seeing a beautiful natural turn. You can do it so beautifully with good quality. So, but that's my personal opinion. So
yeah, and for people that want to explore more of that blend of styles, shall we say, there's always the cabaret or theater arts or solo division, right? That might be a better fit than in a mixed event.
Yeah, a show dance, for example, you can do pretty much anything you like. The music you want to do, the lifts you want to do, the rolling around on the floor you want to do, the costume you want to wear. So go ahead, do that.
So transitioning, so I think you said something really important there, which was you want to keep the essence of the dance and you want to see the essence of the dance throughout. So that brings me to the next huge change that happened for the NDCA, at least last fall, which was allowing non-gendered partners to compete in regular competition. I can't not bring it up, right? It's
no, of course not. Of course not.
In my humble opinion, it's the biggest thing that's happened to dance sport in the last 10 or 15 years. As a judge, have you had the opportunity to now judge and adjudicate a non-gendered partnership?
We have actually in Ohio, and it was in American style syllabus, and it was awesome. It was great. It was a guy down from Florida. I probably not going to say names, but he was dancing in the I think it was the ladies A, which is a very, very tough division in Ohio. It's tough to judge because they're so good. I mean, you go down to the 12 and you want to call back 8 in the final, instead of just 6. But it was fantastic because it's all about dancing, and there was quality. It was elegant. It was really, really good to watch. It didn't even come up in my brain that was 2 men dancing. It didn't even occur to me. And there was 2 ladies too. I think it was in the silver Latin. Fantastic, but I have not seen it yet no, that's not true. I have seen it once in the pro, in the American Smooth. It, I don't know if it's harder for straight men, straight women to watch. I don't know. I feel sometimes when you have 2 equal A men on the floor, they can kind of how can I say that politically correct? They can minus themselves out. One is stronger, the other one likes to be stronger. Then when you go to the other side, if the female part of it is too feminine, what do I don't know. In the pro, I will have a harder time to watch it. My husband always says an interesting thing, and I truly believe. So imagine yourself, you like Yulia Zagorochenko, right? How many years of dance experience? How many rumba walks do you think she has done in her life? So now you want to go on the floor in the same division, and dance against somebody like that, but you don't have the same experience or the same caliber. And I'm going for the highest level here, of course, but that's how we have to start to comparing it. Are we going to watch in Latino and rhythm two girls or 2 guys that are going to produce the same quality in dancing, and the chemistry, which I love. I'm a true believer in the female part and male part. I think that makes it sparkle, that makes it
you get that feeling inside. It's like, oh my God, this couple is unbelievable. They
Yeah.
get you, maybe not technically that great, but they have such a chemistry together on the floor. You can look away from them, no matter if it's now, two men, women, um, same sex, whatever. It just misses out if it's not there.
Yeah, that's something that I've obviously discussed in my YouTube video when I addressed the change, and then in conversations with other instructors. I think regardless of the genders of the individuals dancing, when I'm looking at a really good Latin routine or smooth routine or standard routine or what have you, I'm looking for the balance and contrast between parts, right? I'm looking for the femininity and the masculinity. I'm looking for the soft and the harsh. I'm looking for the dark and the light. I want to see the balance between those two. And it doesn't matter whose bodies are dancing it, but it's finding that balance aspect. So if you do have two people of the same gender, either one has to go feminine and one has to go masculine, or you have to interweave the two so that you always have a balance. Because I think you're right. If you have this really harsh masculinity and no femininity to balance it out, I think you're missing something. And on the other side, if you have a lot of femininity but no masculinity to balance it out, it doesn't look like a whole composition.
But not only that, it's a good point what you just said, but I just miss it in general when if you have a chance and you go on Dance Beat and read my write up on the Pro Latin, and that was one of the all the way through every couple with one exception, for that night, is that both partners look too much like they're competing against each other, not for each other, or they're competing for showmanship for the audience, but there's no relationship in the partnership. So if you can create it as a professional amateur in a equal, female male, I think it might be even way harder to create it in a two male or two females. If regular, couples can create it. So I miss that all the way through. So I don't know. I have only my experience with one same-sex couple was in Smooth, in Indiana Challenge. I was not. It was not great quality in dance. The major trouble that particular couple had was floor craft. They had no idea how to handle 12 couples on the floor. That was actually borderline dangerous. I have not seen it yet in Pro Rhythm or Pro Latin or Pro Standards. And I think it will happen eventually here and there. But I don't know if it's going to be like the most interesting thing to watch at a competition, or maybe people just want to make a point. Yes, we can. Fine, great. But it's not the same, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Might be a little one-sided, but I'm a true believer in chemistry on the dance floor. And I'm not saying two men, two women cannot have that. I'm not saying that, but it's not the same, in my opinion. So,
well, and it's difficult.
Whoever's out there, don't shoot me.
Well, no, I think you made a good point that it's difficult for a traditional couple that's not actually in a relationship, or maybe even is in an actual relationship, to project that connection and chemistry in an authentic feeling way that's interesting to an audience on a competition floor. So for non-traditional couples or non-traditional partners, you're going to run against that same challenge. And it doesn't really matter if it's non-traditional or traditional. It's just you have to project that in a rumba you are in lust with this person, and you want to and you just want to be as close as possible with them, even if it's your instructor or a best friend or your husband or wife, regardless of who it is, in that moment you have to create this story and this narrative, and it doesn't matter who that person is. It's the 1 minute relationship. Right?
It's the authenticity we're gonna miss out if we, in general, down the line, if we don't watch for that. Because some of my good friends who I competed with when I was living in Europe are gay, and it's funny, they never believed into dancing. And for fun they did, yes, but not in competitions. And I still have conversations with them today, and most of them down the board, they're not agreeing. They believe in man and woman, the same, traditional beliefs, although they're all, have partners and are married to their, the husbands and whatever. And they just don't believe in, we're losing the authenticity. And we're starting to see that in the last 10 years, I'm going to say, all over the place, that the essence of cha-cha, for example, or the essence of waltz or mambo is getting lost a little bit and becoming too sporty. It's all about athleticism and how fast and how much more footwork can you put into something, versus take your time and enjoy the drama of the rumba, for example, or the tango.
Yeah. On last week's episode, Martin and I were talking about the fact that ballroom dance is one of the few areas in the world that continues to evolve and adapt and change. There's no, pinnacle of once you've hit this point, congratulations, you're done, you figured it all out. It's constantly evolving, and it's a living, breathing thing on its own. So the essence that you're talking about, that has been the essence of ballroom dance for the last, 10 or 15 years, it is changing and it is adapting and it is evolving. And I think with a lot of things, it's cyclical, right? We talked last week, and I talk a lot with my students about the fact that American rhythm 5 years ago looked a whole heck of a lot like international Latin. And now the Cuban leg action, or the harsh Cuban leg action, is back. So now it's looking like its own individual thing. And in 5 years' time, it might go back to looking more straight leg. And then in 5 years' time again, it'll go back to being harsh Cuban, or it might be something completely different. So I agree with you. I think what we see as traditional classic ballroom dance isn't the direction that it's moving. I think it is moving more athletic and more sport, and that might forever change the path of ballroom dance. Or we might decide in 10 or 15 years time, like, no, we don't really like trying to hit the 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a cha-cha. We might want to go back to just 2, 3, 4 and 1.
I think probably comes back around. I think it's starting to get a little bit better now, I'm going to say since 2019, and obviously 2020 is a little bit of a slow year. Yeah. But some couples do try to create more of the authenticity between each other on the dance. But some couples get so lost in trying to create all these extra things. They're really not necessary, and sometimes you get through to couples when you coach and you get through to them, but then you look at the dance floor and everybody kind of looks the same. So now what do you mark? You want to see that couple who really put the let's say in cha-cha that you can read the timing, or samba that it's a samba, and not turn off the music and have to guess what dance it is. So it's getting better, I'm gonna say, although probably Terry would disagree with me in rhythm. He's a true rhythm boy. He grew up with rhythm and definitely believes in the authenticity of that dance, and how much happened to this to this style over the last 10 years, 12 years. I don't know how long we've been judging now, 12 years, 13 years. So yeah, and sometimes you really don't know what it is. You have to guess, you know?
Yeah. So using that as a good transition point, the kind of thought that I want to end on is, as a judge and as a coach, what advice would you give new competitors coming up through the ranks, whether they're pro-am or whether they're pro? What is one piece of advice as a coach that you wish more students would take to heart?
You know, to be honest with you, I think people need to pay attention to music more. Musicality is getting such a bad rap on the competition floor or on the pro-am floor. Nobody listens to music anymore. Um, you don't recognize, not that they're off time. I don't mean that, but it's just not deep into the rhythm of whatever song is playing. I mean, some songs are harder, but than others. But honestly, the music has developed as well. We have such amazing DJs right now at competitions who are really on the search of deep percussion, or creating their own, like Brent Mills is creating his own style, and it's amazing, but they still have no listeners, if I may say so. They're hearing it, but they're not really listening to it. One small little example I want to give you. When was that? Last year we were a Chuck dancers competition, and he has this in Philadelphia, and he has this tradition. He brings a Latin band in, and these are all guys who've been playing Latin music. God knows how, I mean, forever, and it's so. I mean, you can't stop standing still. Even when you judge, you cannot stand still listening to this awesome music, right? So he did it at nighttime for the rhythm and for the Latin. He didn't do it for the ballroom. And there was not one couple, and there were good couples there, not one couple you could say that, like, oh wow, they're actually making it up as they go. They're holding longer. They're feeling the music. They're with each other. None of that. They're dancing their routine, no matter what music is playing. So that's my point. That's what I would like to see for every couple who starts dancing, to listen, feel, and then produce it through your own body, because that will take you a long way than just learning the step to, hip hop music.
Well, and I think that's an incredible piece of advice. And I know personally when I'm coaching students, that's one of the things that I'm trying to really strive to get into my students' brains. But it's really difficult, because I think we get so tied to the routine or to the pattern or to the syllabus that adapting your performance quality, or allowing the dance to breathe and react and move and change, is a really difficult skill to learn. But when you see those top level dancers, you can tell that they're playing with the music, that,
Correct.
they have their set routine that you've seen 100 times over the course of the competition year, but every single time they perform it, it looks different, because every single time they're dancing to a different song and reacting
Correct.
to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so much more enjoyable to watch. You get into it. You put you watch, and your heart and soul gets into it, instead of just like, another one. Truly.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. Well, is there anything else that you would like to talk about, or any other words of wisdom that you'd like to pass on to our listeners?
just to not give up right now. Right now is a little bit challenging time for all of us. Um, I've been hearing some couples want to quit. Don't give up. Don't give up. Now, most of the states are opening up so that we can move around a little bit. Go into your studio, practice, even when you're by yourself. It will get better. It will. And it will, maybe even 2021, it's going to be the strongest competition year. You never know. people are starving for dancing, to be very honest, and we'll get over this. So don't give up. That's my biggest right now, because of some of the conversations I had with couples. It was a little sad to hear, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Fight through it. We'll get through it.
Yep. Stay hungry for it, because we will come back, and we'll come back better than ever. Absolutely. I love that.
Sure, for sure.
Well, thank you, Rozana, so much for coming on and chatting with us. Thank you, chat, for tuning in. If you did not catch this live, it's available on our YouTube page and also in podcast form in a couple days' time. Next week, let me make sure that I've got the right guest in mind. Next week, we have the amazing Molly King on. For those of you that tuned in a couple weeks ago to my West Coast discussion with James Cook, Molly is the other half of their partnership. So I'm going to have her on. She does some amazing things in the West Coast community. She's also a freelance writer and has a lot of amazing motivational kind of concepts and philosophies about just life and living. So excited to have her on next week. As always, have a wonderful week ahead. Stay positive, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you next time.
Same to you.